everyone! In this video, I will tell you what happened in the first season of the current series. Season 5 of the popular series will air on November 9. We will talk about what happened in the past seasons until that day. For more videos, don't forget to follow me, like my videos and subscribe. Season 1 was created and written by Peter Morgan and introduced viewers to the world of the British royal family. The first season began in 1947 and lasted until 1955, when the young Princess Elizabeth ascends the throne. Here are 10 key points from Season 1 of The Crown. The Crown opens harshly with King George spilling blood. This is perceived as an ominous sign of things to come. Doctors said the king has lung cancer and has only a few months to live. Realizing that situation, King George gives some advice to Prince Philip on taking care of his daughter before she becomes queen, and he tries her best to prepare for the challenge ahead. Princess Elizabeth and her husband Prince Philip were married to King George while on a Commonwealth tour on behalf of the king. They learn of George suddenly dead in there. On the other hand, Edward, Duke of Windsor, who renounced the British throne to marry the divorced American Wallis Simpson in 1936, the king's older brother, causes a stir when he comes to London for his brother's funeral. Unsurprisingly, he received a cold welcome from his now estranged family, who are still mad at him for choosing his girlfriend. Although he doesn't get along with most, David is known by his family to be on good terms with Elizabeth and advises her. Although they get along well, he is kind to Elizabeth on the outside, but behind closed doors, he is more clinical and continues to criticize the royal family for their mistreatment of him and his wife. In the following episodes, Queen Elizabeth's accession to the throne isolates Philip, who has to quit his job in the Navy to serve as his wife. While Elizabeth attends official functions and events, Prince Philip visits gentlemen's clubs and spends his time at lunch and dinner with the hint and he can play away from home. Tensions rise between the two, and at one point they argue and fight constantly while having a heated argument in the car. In other moments, the couple is seen fighting as Elizabeth throws objects at her husband. The opportunity is captured by photographers chasing an embarrassing moment for the royal family. Fortunately, Elizabeth managed to pursue the media to destroy the footage and give the world the impression that all is well between them. Alongside the Queen's marital problems is her relationship with her sister Princess Margaret and group captain Peter Townsend. Elizabeth doesn't ever think she can to approve the union, but cannot due to the royal protocol and parliamentary objection, because Princess Margaret's lover is a divorced and surviving man. Townsend agrees to continue government work in Brussels for 2 years to appease the government and hope for a future marriage. After waiting 2 years, Princess Margaret is informed that she can marry the RAF captain only if she relinquishes her titles and royal privileges. The anticipation pauses Margaret to think and ends the relationship, giving great relief from the royal family and parliament. However, this decision creates a charm between Elizabeth and Margaret cannot forgive her sister. Another issue is Prime Minister Winston Churchill's return to power after 6 years of Labour government and the Queen's first Prime Minister. Winston hides his deterioration in health from Queen Elizabeth after he is tasked with holding an international summit with US President Dwight Eisenhower when the Soviet Union detonates an hydrogen bomb. Finally, learning that Winston has been hiding from her that he has a stroke, the Queen has a stern conversation with Winston. A bond is formed between the Prime Minister, artist Graham Sutherland, who is tasked with creating a portrait to celebrate Winston's 80th birthday. Winston, who is also an artist, constantly paints a pond in his garden, which later turns out to be a metaphor for the loss of his daughter Marigold. Marigold is Winston's daughter who tragically died at the age of 2.5 from tonsillitis. Although a temporary friendship is forged between the two men, Winston is angered by the way he paints a portrait of himself as old and frail. The painting is then secretly destroyed. Winston and the Queen's relationship is increasingly strained by what's known as the Great Fog, seen in London as a thick black toxic gas builds up that has killed thousands. Those who want to turn this tension into an opportunity press Elizabeth the Queen that Winston should resign. However, after the death of his secretary, Venetia Scott, Winston realized the devastating effects at the last moment and finally puts the measures into action. The Great Smoke of 1952 leads to the Clean Air Act of 1956 and an awareness of the connection to pollution and health. As Winston becomes more fragile, he eventually agrees to step down as Prime Minister and allows Anthony Eden to take over. However, Anthony causes problems as he enters a heated crisis with Egypt's president, Gamal Abdel Nasser, over ownership of the Suez Canal. However, the health of the new Prime Minister is not very good either.